What's up everybody, Alex here, and I'm here for a patch analysis. What a patch! Ace tier heroes and contraptions. Honestly, I did not see this coming at all, and I cannot be more excited to give this stuff a shot. Contraptions! Placeable items that affect the board. We have 4 of them announced right now. Let's go right to the contraptions, then we'll go through the rest here. The contraptions, first of all, so we got a barricade, which is going to be a tier 2 contraption. Adding 400 health and, with 20 armor, that's pretty neat, and you can place it strategically to kind of affect the board. That's really interesting, especially when you consider like comps with like, you know, mages and hunters now being possibly viable, you know, without even using tanks. That's obviously a bit of a reach, but a barricade, that could be pretty neat. You know, then you have the target buddy, which again, right? If you have hunters and mages, you can use a targeting buddy to kind of like pull aggro away from your squishies. And then we have, you know, the healing ward, which is going to be healing, you know, your units in a vicinity around it. That's really interesting from a standpoint of like warriors not needing to be splashed with warlocks, and might be, you know, a warrior assassin comp might be more viable. You know, these are really interesting changes. The tombstone, that's just really neat. The idea that you can have this sustained, you know, unit regeneration where you're kind of constantly creating new units based on, you know, opposition, you know, heroes dying and ally heroes dying. That's really neat, right? This is a huge patch. Can you guys tell that I'm excited? I'm legitimately super excited. So let's actually step through it a bit. I had to jump to the contraptions because I was too excited. So yeah, they're placeable items. They do not impact the count, right? That's huge. They're basically free units, right? That adds a huge like strategic depth to the game now. That's just awesome. And they behave like regular units. They can be dragged around. You know, positioning is obviously super important with them, but they don't count against the cap. That's super neat. Aces. Now, the idea of the Aces units, like, I literally make strategies about Dota Underlords. That's my bread and butter. I love Dota Underlords, and I spend so much time thinking about Dota Underlords, strategies related to Dota Underlords, and ways to help you guys win games. And you know what? Aces, the idea of having ace units that basically unlock new and more powerful ways to play the game with certain alliances, never really crossed my mind. This is one of those great examples where, like, sometimes you see someone say, hey, let the designers design the games, you guys keep playing. Give them feedback, but trust the designer. And this is a fantastic design. We haven't had a chance to really test it thoroughly yet, obviously, because the news just came out like 10 minutes ago that, you know, this patch hit, but this is a fantastic idea. The idea that you have these cornerstone units that at the highest tiers, you know, starting at level 8, I believe, because they've changed the tier odds, that basically unlock new effects. Fantastic idea. Fantastic idea. And look, so once at least one level of that alliance is enabled, when an ace unit appears in the shop, the odds of being the ace unit associated with the alliance is increased by 15%. That is way more important than some people might give it credit for. So, for instance, if you have, you know, the full scaled alliance going, right, which is relatively easy. You know, you have Slark and you have Slardar, and now when you get an ace unit, it is 15% more likely that it's going to be Medusa. That's fantastic. So instead of getting like Gyro and then Troll and then all these other aces that you can't really use, and it hurts your heart because you want to build that comp, you're more likely to get the one that impacts your team the most. That's really cool, right? We've not seen them do anything like this before, right? Where you kind of change the odds of the RNG based on what your composition is. So that's a pretty neat thing. Yeah, we got some general improvements there. That's great. But let's talk about some of this stuff. AI pathing, this is great too. Actually, really makes a big difference for a lot of knight builds. Actually, this is a shadow. Kind of like a shadow buff to knights, because knights, which are mainly melee characters, they often path very awkwardly, and it reduces their DPS because they don't get into prime kind of attack range very quickly. So let's see how that impacts them. Bloodseeker moving from assassin to assassin, deadeye, and human. fantastic change, because now Deadeye, it's always been weird because Deadeye, you had to have Gyrocopter and you had to have Sniper, but now with Bloodseeker being a Deadeye as well, that's awesome. And then it works perfectly with his trait, the fact that when he kills a unit, he gets his health regenerated. That is awesome. That is perfect with Deadeye, because now he's going to maximize the opportunities for him to regenerate his health. This is a huge buff to Bloodseeker. A huge buff, and it's also a huge buff to Sniper, because now you're gonna have a Deadeye effect on Sniper, potentially like what, round 4, 5? Because you can get Bloodseeker round 1. Sniper is going to be available pretty early too. Awesome, fantastic. Bounty Hunter. So again, another buff for the Scrappies, right? Some damage there for Bounty Hunter. That's great. So now we have our Disruptor, which is part of the ace for the Warlock Alliance. So this is the first ace here. So he's gone from tier 4 to tier 5. Well, not tier 5 anymore. It's ace. And now he's no longer a shaman, but he's brought in Warlock. He has had all his stuff increase, his stats increase, sorry. And his ace effect is the effect of the Warlock Alliance is now applied to 2 units instead of the Warlock himself and 1 other. So basically what that means is when Disruptor casts a spell, he and 2 other units are now healing. And bear in mind, the way the Alliance works for Warlocks is damage being caused is basically returned as healing. So having 3 units healing each other, it's not just like a flat rate of healing. All 3 units doing damage is going to provide additional healing to all 3 units. So you've increased the amount of damage being caused, which also increases the amount of overall healing being done. It's a huge buff to Warlocks, and it's great. It's a really neat design. This might get toned back. I feel like this is a lot of healing. This is a lot of healing. We'll have to test it. We'll have to test it in the legitimate gameplay scenario, because I'm sure they did. But on the surface, this looks unbelievable. Warlock Alliance, that is a ton of healing, right? So what happens when you have multiple Warlocks now? You can have a whole team basically up in healing, so very interesting. Enigma is now the ace for the Shaman Alliance, which basically allows the Shaman Alliance to be applied to all your army. So if you have 10 units, now all 10 units have that. I believe it's now 10% chance to turn someone into a chicken or something and bounce around for a little while. Gyrocopter is the ace for the Deadeye Alliance. So basically now units with Deadeye get True Strike. They can't miss. So now that's a huge counter to evasion. So this is one of the major first things that we see now, where there's kind of a rock, paper, scissors element to the game. So if evasive units and evasion get very, very popular, and that's like the meta build, well, guess what? Deadeye completely counters it, like fully counters it. So again, now we have a rock, paper, scissors type element to the game, where it's like, well, Deadeye is going to beat elusives. It's just going to. So a really interesting kind of design here. So I'm really interested to see how that kind of how that pans out. Lich, right now for the Mage Alliance, you're gonna have increased mana regeneration. That reduces the need for Maiden. Maiden's still gonna be in the Mage Alliance as always, but now if Maiden goes down fast, or you know, it's even a buff for Octarine. I'm too excited. I gotta slow down. But this is huge. This is huge because now they're gonna get an increased amount of mana regeneration. I actually think 10% is pretty fair. It's gonna cap out at you know what? When it says Mage Alliance level, I haven't had a chance to test it yet, but is that each individual mage or each tier of mage level? I'd like to see that. I'm not 100% sure at the time of this recording. Like for instance, if you need 6 mages to complete the Mage Alliance, is each tier, each level of alliance, is it now 20% if you have 6, or is it 60% if you have 6? You know what I mean? Because it's 3, then 6 are the tiers. We have to check that. Very interesting change regardless. If it's 60%, that is insane. That's massive. 20%, still good, not game breaking. I would actually expect it to be higher than that, but we'll see. Perhaps it is just 20% because they're taking into account that if you have 6 mages, you have Maiden on the board as well. So very interesting. Medusa, the scaled alliance. So first of all, Medusa got a minor nerf there with her range, but that needed to happen anyway. But now all scaled units are going to get Retaliate, and Retaliate is awesome. Retaliate's one of the most underutilized kind of passives in the game, and now it is definitely going to be used. It's basically like the reverse of the bleeding effect of the Savages, right? So absolutely awesome. I love to see that. It really helps Slardar. This is a big buff for Slardar because Slardar has always been a warrior that's been good, but he's kind of fallen off a little bit. He doesn't keep up the same way like a Tide Hunter does. Oh, Tide Hunter's on scaled too. Tide Hunter's getting huge buff. Oh, I gotta settle down. The huge patch. I'm excited. Ogre Magi. Okay, this is actually a nerf to Ogre Magi. He's gonna bloodlust himself first, and then he's going to do like a kind of closest person to him. That's actually, I shouldn't say it's a nerf, because now you can adjust your strategy to intelligently figure out who's gonna get bloodlusted when. Important, for instance, in one of the builds I did recently for my builds of the week, I had Ogre Magi in a Knights build, which I still think is viable. And now we can do it, so we can place Ogre Magi with Dragon Knight, so that Ogre Magi buffs himself, and then 2.5 seconds later with the Octarine, he's giving Bloodlust to Dragon Knight, which is going to shoot his DPS through the roof. So I shouldn't say that it's a nerf. It sucks it goes on himself first, because Ogre Magi is only useful because he's bloodlusting better units. So being able to control it slightly is a bit of a bonus, but the fact that the first cast, especially if you don't have the Octarine, the first cast being on himself, that's a waste of bloodlust for 5 seconds. A little disappointing. Techies, the Inventor Alliance. So now chain reaction. So if an enemy dies because of unstable reactor, they blow up just like unstable reactor. It's like dominoes. It's like unstable reactor dominoes. Fantastic design. I can't wait to try this. This is a huge buff. This makes unstable reactor unquestionably better than it was before. So very awesome. Troll Warlord, huge. So this is very significant. The attack rate increase is significant because obviously his passive is basically based on his ability to chain attacks, right? So that's why Moonshard is so effective on a Troll Warlord, because it gets him ramped up so quickly. So the added attack rate is beneficial, and giving everyone a mini bash is pretty awesome, because bash can be very disruptive, right? That mini stun, it's interrupting things, right? It's I'm just trying to think. Well, sniper, right? Interrupts the sniper's ability. It's very, very, very useful, very disruptive to the opposing team. We don't have that many channeled abilities yet, but still really neat. And obviously the barricade, these items, I can't wait to try these out. Videos are gonna be hitting next week, guys. Contraption. So we have the barricade. Basically 2 placeable barricades that block enemies and ranged attacks. They're also immune to spells. That's important too. The immune to spells is important because now you can't just blow them up with AoE. So I'm gonna be really interested in testing this. Target buddy. So 1,000 health and 10 armor, that's actually quite a bit of armor, right? That's like clockwork level armor. Most units have most heroes, I should say, have 5 armor. So this is double the armor, and you can put chainmail on it for 20, right? So that's pretty significant. Taunts can basically draws fire. It draws fire, and again, this could make like an assassin mage build viable. Things like you don't need a meat shield now, so pretty interesting. The healing ward, I actually think this might be weaker. 20 hit points per second with 1 cell away. That's I think this might be the weaker of the 4, but hey, I might be wrong, right? So expect a major hotfix on Sunday morning for the healing ward. You know what? This dev team has been so good, honestly. And Tombstone, I have to test it out. I think it's pretty neat. This is a counter towards like a knight build, for instance, because if you have tombstones and knights tend to like block together, like my strategies have knights often block together, right? Protect, kind of blocked in the corner so they shift up together and you're protecting your squishier units. If you have them squished together and a tombstone's there, when they go down, they're just going to keep spawning like zombies, right? So very interesting from a strategic standpoint. Really interested in seeing that. So now we have the alliance changes. So shamans only need 2 heroes to activate, which makes sense because Enigma is now the ace, and it's only 10% to be turned into a chicken. So I was correct, not 17. That makes sense because now it's affecting the entire army, not just the shamans. Probably required. Assassin goes from 3, 6, and 9 to just 3 and 6, and they get bumped up to 10 and 20%, which is great because you know what? Assassins, getting to 9 assassins, it was annoying because then like you're not utilizing the alliances properly because like you're exposing the weakness of the 9 unit alliances too much. Like assassins just got blown up at 9, and so did warriors. You never saw 9 warriors because who's gonna lose to 9 warriors? They're doing no DPS, right? Elusive. So again, 3 and 6 from 3, 6, and 9, and basically they're getting a slight buff, 5% on each one. Perfect. You know what? I think that this is the right thing to do, because now you can also pick and choose which elusives, which warriors, you know, which assassins you want to use. Because, like, for instance, Mirana, in my opinion, is not great, right? And so I would rather have another, like a Doom in instead of Mirana, who I need because I need to finish the alliance bonus, right? So I really like the change to 3 and 6 heroes for the alliances. And again, warriors the exact same too. And you're getting an increase here of armor. That it needed to happen, right? So plus 10 and plus 20. Perfect. I love that. And again, they changed the hero odds again. So remember, the sweet spot is still level 8. So we're still looking at level 8 here. Now the 1%, that's luck. That's RNG. So that I shouldn't say that this is a sweet spot, but it definitely is for kind of ranking up your tier 3 and tier 2s. At level 10, 6%. Again, because we're getting a 15% bonus based on what what alliances we have to see how these numbers actually shake out, because they're kind of deceptive in a way. Also, I love this. Updated again. You know what? Again, kudos to the dev team for keeping us on our toes and for doing such a great job. All right, guys. I gotta go play. And Monday we're gonna have a video for the builds of the week where I'm gonna be testing a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, I got a lot of work to do, guys. I can't wait to show you guys some new builds with all these new mechanics. And we don't even have the Underlords yet. It's gonna be awesome. All right, guys. I gotta play some Dota Underlords. I am so motivated to play Underlords. Thank you so much for watching, and a special thank you to all my subscribers. You guys are the absolute best. Take care and have a wonderful day.